Grupo Bancolombia has three important dates. The first was 1875 in Bogotá World Banco de Colombia. This was the first slogan. The second date was 1998 Bancolombia S.A. bonds by acquisition of Banco Industrial de Colombia to Banco de Colombia. 2005 of the integration of Bancolombia S.A., Conavi and Confirsura resulted Grupo Bancolombia.
During the World Economic Forum held in Davos, the financial institution was not only included in the Sustainability Yearbook, but also received the bronze medal from Robeco, which is ranked the fifth most sustainable bank in the world and the fifth of American continent.
Bancolombia shares the third position in the banking sector of the yearbook with the following companies: Westpac Banking Corp Ltd, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group Ltd, and National Australia Bank Ltd. Bancolombia is the Colombian largest bank in terms of assets and equity, provides a complete line of banking products and services, including corporate and government banking, treasury, mortgage banking, and personal SME banking for individuals and companies, offering the following products. Bancolombia, by level of assets and portfolio, has the largest market share, followed by Banco de Bogotá, Da Vivienda, BBVA, and Banco de Occidente.
Bancolombia ranks first in the Colombian banking system, followed by Banco de Bogotá and Da Vivienda. Observing in turn the ranking of profit generated by banks, where Bancolombia also ranked first.
In summary, according to the figures prior to 2017, it can be noted that the most represented products in the financial market of Bancolombia Group are commercial products, consumption, leasing, and mortgage credit.
Besides Colombia, the multinational enterprise has now presence in Panama, Cayman Island, Puerto Rico, El Salvador, Peru, and Guatemala. Now that we have cleared the products and services that Grupo Bancolombia specializes in, let's take a quick overview of its geographical expansion. It all started in 1973 with the opening of Bancolombia Panama, a new operating facility in Panama City. Later, in 1987, another operating facility started as Bancolombia Cayman in Georgetown, Cayman Island. In 1997, a new subsidiary was opened in San Juan, Puerto Rico. In 2003, Grupo Bancolombia announced its opening agency in Miami, Florida. Nonetheless, 10 years later, declared would come to an end so that the multinational could focus its whole attention in strengthening its international strategy in other markets. In 2007, the multinational acquired 100% of the assets of Banco Agrícola in El Salvador for $900 million. It decided to maintain its original name and later in 2013 changed its logo to Bancolombia's logo. In 2009, Grupo Bancolombia opened Leasing Peru and Renting Peru to provide rental agreements for real estate, machinery, equipment, and vehicles, in addition to Fidu Peru, responsible for fiduciary services, advising, and managing assets. In 2012, Grupo Bancolombia acquired 40% of Banco Agromercantil in Guatemala for $216 million. In 2013, the multinational acquired 90% of assets of HSBC in Panama for $2.1 billion. later renamed it Banismo, and started to control 15% of the financial market in Panama. Lastly, in 2015, the multinational enterprise increased its participation in Banco Agromercantil Guatemala from 40% to 60%. The international operations and expansion just mentioned caused an increase in the value of the organization. Last year, for example, they represented 27% of Bancolombia's total net income.
Bancolombia shares the third position in the banking sector of the JITBOC with the following companies: Westpac Banking Corp Ltd, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group Ltd, and National Australia Bank Ltd.
Bancolombia has the third position in the ranking of banks with 9% in market share. Its main competitors are BAC International Bank and Banco General with 13% and 10% in market share.
The financial institution Bancolombia is in charge of strategic alliances that Geraldin to the position itself with competitors, all those banks that appear in this ranking.
After 2 years of the acquisition of 40% of Grupo Mercantil Holding, the Grupo Bancolombia decided to consolidate its presence in Guatemala through the purchase of an additional 20% of the Guatemalan organization. Thus, participation reached 60%.
The main entry modes that Grupo Bancolombia resorted to when expanding to foreign countries reside on two types. First, as shown before in the timeline of international geographic expansion, Grupo Bancolombia entered foreign financial markets as Panama, Cayman Island, Puerto Rico, and Peru by building a new facility in each country. Its mode of entry was greenfield investment, a wholly owned new subsidiary in each of the regions. On the other hand, subsidiaries as Banismo Panama, Banco Agrícola El Salvador, and Banco Agromercantil Guatemala were forward horizontal acquisitions. Their method to enter the market was by purchasing already important institutions that were in the same level of its supply chain. That not only gave them instant access to the market and already a stable customer database, but also reduced its competitors in the region by owning them. Nevertheless, its intentions to expand in North America were not sufficient. The end of its subsidiary in Miami could be analyzed as a failed entry to a much more developed country and competitive market in which it had no advantage at all. Therefore, from now on, the multinational enterprise has decided to focus its geographical spread on not developed countries where it's gonna be easier to take over and where there is more cultural affinity, less linguistic distance, and easier ways to adapt. In conclusion, we could say Grupo Bancolombia's current strategy is a full emphasis and a long-term orientation on regions the multinational enterprise can efficiently dominate. such as Central America, as it is the size of the Colombian market it already dominates. Throughout the next years, we will continue to see its international expansion through greenfield investments and foreign direct investments with acquisitions and mergers around that part of the globe.